Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Living the WIT Life. My name is Matt Russell, and I've got my beautiful bride with me here today, and we are being joined by a phenomenal couple who are very active in helping within our ministry, and you'll get to hear from them in a minute. But I'm going to start off with Michelle. Hey, Michelle, go ahead and just kind of tell us, how has God blessed you recently?
Recently, we just got back from our women's event in Maine, and our second of four daughters went with me this time. It was her first pursuit to ever attend or anything. She hasn't really been involved up until now, and so she came and she fully participated. She's quiet, and the Lord really just spoke to her. She got baptized in the river up there. I was able to baptize her, so that is a current blessing that I'm still carrying with me as a really, really special weekend.
Well, you stole mine, so I'm just kidding. Of course, that's an amazing blessing, but I'm sure that I'll be able to come up with something here shortly because he blesses us for sure. Well, Bobby and DeAnna coming from Sierra Vista, Arizona. And DeAnna, why don't you go ahead and share with us how God has blessed you recently?
God has blessed me recently with the engagement. My son Phoenix just got engaged to his longtime girlfriend Cabri, and she is the most godly, most amazing, most fun. I mean, she fits into our family very well. So that's how I've been blessed. 100%.
That is awesome. Yeah, because I can see all of those qualities in the Valdez family. So that's amazing.
Yeah.
So, Bobby, how about you?
So we just wrapped up doing a breakfast for the school teachers here in our community, and our church came together, and it's just awesome to see how our church has just grown and how the teachers just love coming, like all the responses back and hearing from them, just being able to give them a whole bunch of supplies that they're going to need. There was a lot of teachers that were just absolutely appreciative of what we were able to contribute to them. And I'm just grateful that we had the resources to be able to do it. And it was awesome just to see what the Lord has been doing. It's amazing.
That is amazing. Well, I got to tell you, DeAnna, you helped me out a lot with me thinking of one of the other blessings, the many that God's given us. But Bobby, just to touch on what you just said, we were a part of a church here that got it was actually run by multiple churches, but they would get the whole community together, not in Big O Amarillo, but in Little O, much smaller town south of your canyon. But they get everybody together and they would do that, where they do a whole day and go and get different things and bless them and pray over them. But they stopped doing it. And there's a lot of churches that have programs and stuff that they're stopping. And it's phenomenal that you guys are just going, I guess it's the swimming upstream from what the norm is, just going and continuing something that God obviously wants us to do. So
Absolutely.
That is awesome. I love that. Now, for me, the blessing, Michelle probably picked up on what I'm going to say as well. But for those of you who are keeping count with our four daughters, that means that we have two that have gone to pursuit, one that has served, but she hasn't really participated, but two more to participate. So 2 up, 2 down. We're getting there. But our third daughter, who has served on pursuits, she actually got engaged just about a month ago. And that also with Lily, my Leah, her fiance is Michael, and he's phenomenal. Very, very much so. In love with the Lord and eager to learn how to lead. And it's extremely exciting. And I'm sure
awesome.
He'll be coming to pursuit at some point too. Yes. But with all of that, I don't want to take all of the time away from you guys, because everybody's here to meet you guys and hear your story. So I'm just going to just let you guys take it from there. So you shared with us, after y'all's experience, your testimony in regards to pursuit and your marriage. So if you would, whichever one of you wants to start us off.
Go ahead.
So I don't remember what was it, like 2022, 2023?
3 years ago.
3 years ago. I was serving in full-time ministry. I was pastoring as the high school and the children's pastor at our church, and my marriage was failing. My wife would say, Jesus saved our marriage, and this church is going to destroy our marriage. And she said that, years before I even got ordained. And we were just struggling really, really bad. My brother-in-law had went to some kind of freedom event, and my sister was telling me all about it. And I was like, you know what, maybe I should go to something like that. Because I just knew that men's, I don't know, retreats, right? That's why it's a pursuit, because we don't retreat. They just didn't cut it. And I know I needed something. And then I was listening, of course, Jocko podcast, and JP Donnell's on there talking about how we went to this freedom event and Pursuit for Truth. And I was like, all right, that's what I'm going to do. And so
he does whatever Jocko tells him to do.
It was JP. So that's when I got a hold of you, and I started asking you a bunch of questions, because the other event I just didn't have a good feeling about it. And so I talked to you about it, and the next event was like coming up real quick, and our marriage desperately needed it. Right before I left, we sat in our therapist's office. She was seeing the wife to a licensed therapist, and I was seeing her husband, who was a licensed therapist. And it was not good. My wife told me,
it's over.
It's over. I'm done with this marriage, and that's it. And
I was packing to leave and move out while he was on his way to Pursuit.
On my way to Pursuit. And I remember right before I left, I remember telling my boys, like, I'm sorry, guys, like, I'm going to this. I need to go to this. I'm not going to allow what's going on right now to stop me. I just know that I need it. And went to Pursuit, and the Lord absolutely changed my life there. I'm forever grateful for it. I knew something needed to change, and I just loved everything about Pursuit, and the opportunities that you guys just facilitate is absolutely amazing. And it put me in a really tough predicament, because I knew I was coming back home. I didn't know what my marriage was going to look like. And I knew, being in ministry, there was a gap in the way that churches operate. And it kind of put me in a tough spot, because it's like something needs to change. You know what I mean? So I came home, and amazingly enough, my wife was still there. I didn't know she was going to be there. I called when we were coming back, and she didn't answer. And I was like, oh, yeah, she's probably not going to be there. We'll just figure it out. And then we ended up talking briefly. It was not a very pleasant conversation, but I was like, you know what? The Lord's got this. I don't know what's going to happen. And then I came home, and when I got home, it was late, because it was a 10-hour drive. So she was already asleep. And when I saw her the next morning, I had to work the next day. And then when I came back home, she automatically was like, you're different. I was like, yeah. Like, I was able to unload so much that I didn't even know I was carrying. And she's like, do you think I need to go? I said, that's your decision. Like, I'm not going to tell you what I think you need to do or not do. I said, do I think it would be a good idea? I said, I think anybody and everybody should go to it. So it wasn't like, yeah, I think you should go. And so she's like, I want to go. I'm like, well, we'll make it happen. And she went to her Pursuit, and she can talk about that. But if you ask me what has been the single thing that has really brought our marriage together, if it wasn't Pursuit, we wouldn't be sitting here next to each other.
No.
I just know that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not afraid.
Yeah.
Well, DeAnna, what about your experience then?
Well, I was doubtful. Bobby and I had done a bunch of retreats, and, you get on that mountaintop because you're there with Jesus, and it's 100% the word. You're with Jesus. You're around you're in your Christian bubble, and then you come home and you're thrown back into the world and the busyness and the distraction. And so I was waiting for him to back out, like, oh, look, there's Bobby. There's that guy that I'm running from right now. And he came back. Yours was like April, right? Mm-hmm. I didn't leave until September. The end of August into September. So the whole time, I mean, it's hard to say, but like the whole time I was just waiting. I was like, okay, God, show me that he's still in there. Like, I wanted to doubt all the work that the Lord did in Bobby while he was at Pursuit, and he didn't change. So I was like, I don't know if I'm ready for this thing. Like, what's going to happen to me when I go? Like, and he never changed. So I was excited for my Pursuit. I couldn't wait.
Which is crazy, because anytime we have anything like we need to do,
I bail out.
She bails out last minute.
Even when we went to Israel, like this was the trip I was dreaming of. I'm like, we're going to Israel. This is the best thing in the whole wide world. And it was like 2 days before, and I was like, I don't want to go.
I'm not going.
I'm not going. And he's like, what are you talking about? It's like, anything can happen. I don't want to go. So for for Pursuit, I didn't do that. I was just so excited. I think I had my bags packed.
Yeah, you were ready.
2 weeks before I was even supposed to go.
Wow.
I got up there and I just told the Lord, because Bobby said, you're only going to get out of what you put into it. So you need to go in and completely empty yourself. And I was like, absolutely. I don't know what that looks like. I don't know how to do it, but I'm going to do whatever it takes, because I wanted what he came home with. And I didn't realize that it was just the filling and the sealing of the Holy Spirit. That was what he came home with. So when I got to Pursuit, I was ready. I was like, let's go. I threw my phone. I was like, you can take my car keys. You can take the deed to my house if you'd like. I just want to get here and get this taken care of. So for my experience was a little different than Bobby's. I went in there and I had carried a label. My whole life I was classified clinically OCD. So it's a mental disorder, right? So I'm sick, I'm broken. I was diagnosed at 8 years old. So I've carried it for a very long time. And when I got there and it was time to start working through the stuff that we needed to work through, one of the ladies was like, no, there's something else. There's something else. You need to dig deeper. And I was like, oh, no, I'm clinically diagnosed. Like, this isn't like, we can't pray this away. Like, Jesus gave me this. I can't pray this away. And I kept arguing it. Like, no, it's okay. I'm going to hold on to this label. And when I got down to pray, God was like, that is not your label. Who told you that you have OCD? And I heard that voice clear as day. And I was like, well, I guess I'm going to pray it out. I don't know what that looks like. And I just remember everybody coming and praying over me, and it lifted. And I don't remember a time where I didn't have intrusive thoughts. And the next morning, my brain was silent. Like, I woke up and my thoughts were my own, which, by the way, are not always great. I can't blame the OCD. Yeah. But they're my own. And it was such a difference to have a quiet of sound mind. Like, you sing about it and you read about having a sound mind, but I know what it feels like to not have a true sound mind and then to receive a true sound mind. And it's completely changed my life, how I parent, how I am as a wife, how I am in our church, because it's just the noise has quieted down. So it was awesome. And coming back, I think I cried the entire ride home. I think I've cried just talking about my experience more times than anything. I mean, it was just so impactful. And that was it. Our marriage has been completely changed since both of us have gone. It's insane.
That is phenomenal. So with that, I know we're going to get into the next steps here in a minute as far as y'all's path and where you've gone, but we just came back from the very first pursuit that we've done in Arizona. Last April. It was the first women's event out there, and there's a lot of people from your community. I think there's only 2 out of the 8 that weren't from there.
Yeah.
So how is that for you after your experience with Pursuit, being there and seeing those 8 women and the transformation that you saw with them at the event? If you need one.
Oh, I'm going to cry.
I know. I should have brought the box in here.
These women they're like my sisters, even before they went through Pursuit. And I was praying for them, and some of them were very resistant, like, I'm not going to go. I've done all these. I think I've been to one of these before. And I was like, I promise you have not been to this. And so we were just praying, and I remember going, okay, Lord, I surrender these women to you. I can't control anything, but please soften their heart. Please give them the courage to go. Please lessen the anxiety and the control issues so that they just take this opportunity and run with it, and to just sit with them and watch how hard they worked and how much. I mean, one of the things we joked about before they left, they said, oh, we just want to hear from God. Like, that's all. And I was like, ooh, are you sure though? Because it's not what you think. Like, when you hear from the Lord, it's not not like, oh, great job, gold star, DeAnna. I was like, you're gonna hear from him. But they were like, oh, we just want to hear from him. And every single one of them heard from God. And that's incredible. I mean, it's just their pursuit was amazing. And then watching them utilize their tools now that they've been done and home, and then pouring that into their families and into our church community. And the fire is spreading because now we have other women that didn't get the opportunity to go before that are going, and two are signing up to go all the way to Texas in September from here because they can't wait for us to have another one.
So we got to get on this.
Yeah. Well, that's actually just the way that the women have been going in, because the very first event is being that women's event helped to establish a community, and some more coming too, because you've already had some others that have come to Texas, but it's only going to add to that community. And then next thing you know, you've got such a big community ready to come in and just serve for future events. You guys are you're going to have an influence. Like, I know that I've never imagined what we've done would be what we've done. I mean, from the very beginning, I knew this was way bigger than me and way bigger than Michelle. And we've been blessed by all of the reach and the effects and all the fruit that's come from it. And I think God's going to rock y'all's world too.
Oh, yeah.
But Bobby, you had a lot of the guys coming to Texas because we didn't have a pursuit that was closer. And you even had, wasn't there one that went all the way to, I know, Idaho. I think Idaho.
No,
Didn't
Maine.
one of them go to Maine? Yeah.
No, yeah,
Myung.
we sent one of our ladies. We just sent Myung, Aaron's wife.
Aaron's
We sent
wife.
That's
her to
right.
Maine.
Even one of all the way to Maine to go.
Yeah.
That's phenomenal. That just shows. Well, I'll tell you this: seeing the fruit and understanding the difference in y'all's marriage, in your relationships, and also as leaders and as individuals, that alone speaks volumes for people to say, "I want that in my life." So that's great. Well, since we're talking about pursuits, I'll go ahead and just share. We actually we have a lot of events coming up. Of course, I would tell you that no matter when you listen to or watch this podcast, if you would go to the website, pursuitfortruth.com. And when you go to pursuitfortruth.com, all spelled out, when you go there, you'll see all the upcoming events. We've got men's pursuits, women's pursuits, marriage pursuits, and we're actually next March going to have our very first ever men's second level event, Men's Battle Readiness. And, well, we don't actually call it Men's Battle Readiness because there's not a women's battle readiness, but it's just battle readiness. So we have sorry, I had technical difficulties there. Kicked me out, brought me back. But anyways, we have the battle readiness next March in Texas. Well, not really. We're going to be going to New Mexico, but we'll be meeting in Amarillo and then going up there. So that is coming up. So check out the second level event. But then also we had last November, and we're having again this November, our Marriage Unity, which is a second level marriage event. And all you have to do to qualify to go to Unity is that each of you have to have gone to a form of pursuit. So if, Bobby went to a men's pursuit and DeAnna has gone to the women's pursuit, therefore, one, they can come back and serve on pursuits, but two, they're eligible to go to Unity. They don't have to go through a marriage pursuit for truth. So that we have one coming up in late October, early November. So go online and check that out. As far as the actual pursuits go, we're in October of this year, 2026. We are going to have our first ever men's pursuit back at the same place where we had the first ever women's pursuit over near Sierra Vista, Arizona. I'm super excited for that. And I think it's going to fill up. But yeah, we may have to start waitlisting people for the next one. But anyways, but there's still room. So those of you who hear that, you want to go to, it's actually in Hereford. It's just south of Sierra Vista. You're sitting right underneath a beautiful mountain, and it's beautiful property. And October is a pretty good time to go.
Yeah.
Perfect
So
time.
if
Perfect time.
Yeah, perfect time. It's not quite so cold yet, and it's no longer as hot. It's just right. So
That's right.
if it's good enough for Goldilocks, it's good enough for us. So, anyways, if you're interested in that, we have that one. We have coming up in 2 weeks from now, 3 weeks from now, I'm sorry, we have Idaho. So now we're doing men's and women's events in Maine. We're doing men's and women's events in Idaho. I'm pointing directionally like you guys actually know. I'm facing south that way. And then we also have events in Arizona. And we're just getting started. For the remaining part of this year, next weekend we have a men's event. Then we go to Idaho. Then we have another men's event or women's event, and then a men's event. And then we go to Arizona, come right back, have another women's event. We have the Marriage Unity. The next weekend we have our men's conference, our second annual men's conference in the Amarillo area. Please come on in and join us. But then also in December will be our last event for the men's event for this year, and finishing out 2026. So we have a lot going on, and it's only going to increase. So I would say, and I have said this before, everything else, if there's an obstacle that's keeping you from coming, you're choosing to allow that obstacle to hold you back. A.W. Tozer says every man's as close to God as he wants to be. And if you want to be closer to God, then Pursuit is a great place for you to come and really focus in and pursue the Lord.
Yes.
So, enough about me, more about you. Michelle, what do you want to hear next?
Okay, so so Bobby, you were talking about when you first came out that you were a pastor, doing like youth and with children, and then you mentioned a little bit about how that was impacting your marriage. I know that when we came out to Arizona, we had the distinct honor of seeing the church that you guys planted out there, which was amazing. I was wondering if you guys could just talk a little bit about how that came about and what that's been like in your life since you started that.
Be honest.
So going back, I'll be careful. So going back, it was difficult because, one of the things that you always say, Matt, is this is not ministry as usual. And there's a lot of things that, I didn't know, you know what I mean? And once going to Pursuit and just having, I describe my pursuit as that there's that account in Mark where Jesus goes to heal a man's eyes, and he heals a man's eyes, and he asks the man, "What do you see?" And he says, "I see people, but they look like trees." And then Jesus says, "Well, go over there and go wash, and then come back." And the man goes and washes and comes back, and then he can clearly see. And I always wondered about that because it's like, oh, what do you mean? Like Jesus heals partially? I don't get it. Like, and I always thought, like, man, if I have to teach that section, I just don't know how I'm going to approach it because it just isn't like, it just doesn't make sense to me. And when I went to Pursuit, I was like, oh, it makes perfect sense to me, right? And I think of, when I got saved, I got led to the Lord at my neighbor's house, and I remember leaving his house, and I walked across the street. I was sobbing, and I'm like, you know what, Lord. I lived, I got saved the night before I turned 30. I said, I lived the last 29 years however I wanted to, and you were there. And I'm going to live the rest of my life serving you in whatever capacity that looks like. I don't know what that looks like. I didn't even know what that meant. And I was like, but I'm going to serve you in whatever capacity that looks like. But I was seeing people as trees. I got saved, and there was a lot of stuff that changed in our life, but I had all this stuff that I was still battling and dealing with. And obviously, why would my marriage be, if I'm, walking the way I'm supposed to be walking, why is my marriage in shambles, And so then coming back from Pursuit and having that clarity, it's like, oh yeah, like there's like people need this, and I could think of all these people in my life, and just, being a pastor of like people need to understand and know that there is, you don't have to just accept it and like, oh, well, I guess this is just my life and this is just the way I'm going to always deal with. Like, no. Like Jesus wants to heal you from that. And there's tools that you can learn to help you grow from that. And, unfortunately, when, you are a part of an organization that's kind of closed off to that, they just don't understand it. And I'm just going to say, you just don't know what you don't know. You know what I mean? And for my leadership, it caused a lot of friction between us. And it wasn't well received. unfortunately. And it came to the point where the pastor that I was under spoke against everything for WIT Ministries, because, you know, I was telling people all about it, and
From the pulpit.
from the pulpit. And so it was at that point where it was like, no, I believe in this, and I know that there's another way, and I don't know what that looks like, but I can't be here, you know. And so I left ministry. And one of the things, I never wanted to plant a church.
We said we were done with church.
I was like, I never wanted to plant a church. I had no desire to plant a church. And I left it. I'm like, I don't know what's going to happen. I had already had a men's group that was meeting in my garage before I ended up leaving.
We were doing Promise Principle we had the women meeting in the living room doing Promise Principle, and the men were meeting in the garage doing Promise Principle.
Yeah.
That was our small group.
And those were one of the tools that we learned at Pursuit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I thought it was a phenomenal opportunity, a phenomenal way to do Bible study. And
so we said, no church.
so we're like, all right,
We'll just do small group.
Yeah, we'll just do small group. We'll just continue to just have group. And then when we're ready to go to a church, we'll go and attend a church, and you know what I mean? And just be low key, and you know what I mean? And just, you know, but we're going to continue to do the small group in the house. So I left in November. Mm-hmm. December came around, and the gentleman that
tell him that God spoke to me and I told you.
Oh, so check this out. I don't know if we told you guys. She went to Pursuit.
So at my Pursuit, God told me that Bobby was going to start his own church. And I wrote it down in my workbook, and God said it like 100% was like, you need to get ready. You need to let everything go, because Bobby is going to start his own church, and you have to be able to support him, because it's going to be one of the hardest things he's ever done. And I just wrote it down. I don't even remember writing it, because to me, that we had been at this church for 13 years. And I was begging Bobby, like, we got to get out of here. This is not safe. Like, I'm telling you, I'm feeling in my spirit that something bad is going to happen to our marriage, and we need to get out of here. And he would not listen to me. So I was like, okay, God, I'll write this down, but I'm telling you, it's not going to happen. Bobby is not going to leave. And then he left. And then God...
But you didn't even remember that you had written that down.
No, I didn't.
And then when did you look for your book when you were going to serve?
For Arizona Pursuit. And I said, oh, goodness. Bobby, you got to read this.
Man, I started crying, dude, because it's like, yeah, that's exactly that's exactly what it was. And so in December, there was a gentleman who we knew, and when he knew that I had left, he's like, look, man, I have a building that you can use. And he's like, I know all the stuff that you've done. Like, we did that year that I came back. So I came back, I went in April, I came back in May, and then the high school boys, we did we took them through like a rite of passage, but we used principles from Pursuit to do the rite of passage. And it was absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. I mean, we got the dads involved at the end and allowed the dads to call them into manhood. And like, it was absolutely phenomenal. And so this gentleman just like was always watching the stuff that I was doing. And he told me, he's like, I know what you're doing, and I believe in everything that you're doing. And I have a building for you to use. And I'm like, no, I don't think so, man. Like, and he's like, you can just use your men's Bible study. He's like, I don't know, maybe if you do a service on the weekend, you can start a little church or something. I was like, I don't know, man. I don't think that's what I'm called to do. You know what I mean? I appreciate it. And he's like, well, come on, let's go look at it. And so like, we came over to the building and we looked at it, and he's like it's like, it's perfect. Nobody's using it. You can go ahead and use it. And I'm like, no, I don't think so. And then he tells me this. And then he says, look, he's like, I'm not trying to pressure you. He's like, but I have a grant on the building. And he's like, believe it or not, it would actually be beneficial for me if you use the building. And I'm like, oh my gosh. Like now you're okay, Lord. One thing's like, oh, here's this opportunity. The next thing is like, dude, like,
help me out.
Yeah, like you're going to help somebody else by being in there. You know what I mean? And I'm like, oh man, I don't know. I said, we got to pray about it. So we had planned a trip, and DeAnna and I went, and we talked about it. And mind you, I left in November. This is December. So this is like not even a full month after I had already left. Like, nobody can do that except for the Lord, you know? And so we prayed about it. And so we decided to go forward with it, and we planted the church, and some people helped us along the way in the beginning, and we thought, hey, we'll have our first service for Easter service. That's when we'll do our first service, Resurrection Sunday, and we ended up doing it in February.
Yeah,
Was our first service here. And so we did service on Saturdays. I didn't want to compete with any of the churches in town. So we didn't want to do Sundays. And once people knew that we were planning a church, they're like, hey, we want to go and attend. And again, I didn't want to take anybody from any church. And so we're like, hey, let's just do it Saturdays, 3:30. And it's a small church. We'll have people. And then I want to have a meal right afterwards. We just read through Acts, and it was like, what did they do in Acts? And they were, teaching and the apostles' doctrine and fellowship and breaking of bread, and so it's like, let's just do that. So that's what we did. And so February will be 3 years that we've been here, and we hold service on Saturdays at 3:30, and then we have a meal right after. And we've done it. The only time that we didn't have a meal afterwards is when we had pursuit for the ladies, because most of the people that bring the food were going to be here, but
they were at pursuit.
So, and the men were grateful for it because they didn't have to cook for everybody. Yeah. So, but other than that, we've done that, and it's beautiful. I absolutely love it. Like, it's been one of the biggest blessings. Yeah. It's home. Yeah. And speaking of home, like, we were able to, we had chairs that were not comfortable. They were already here. And then just earlier this year, we were able to tear down some walls. We made a permanent dining room for our fellowship, and then we invested money and got couches. And
so we have couches in the sanctuary during our service.
So it's cool. So it feels just like home.
Yeah, it really does. The space is amazing. I love how you guys thought outside the box and just made it so cozy. And then like after your service, like open those doors, and now we're in the dining room together. That's beautiful.
Yeah, it's amazing.
That was beautiful. And with the Saturday night, the thing with not competing, in Hebraic tradition, Sabbath starts Friday night at sundown and goes all the way through Saturday and ends at Saturday night at sundown. But as you're closing down the Sabbath, it is a time of Friday night is a time of fellowship and community. But Saturday, they spend time in God's word. And they're doing that together. And whether it was in the synagogue or whether it was in, someone's home, that's what they did. And then as it approaches sundown and the end of Sabbath, they welcome in the new week. Day one starts Saturday evening. So they're already finishing up the Sabbath and moving into the next day in fellowship with other people. Yeah. That's exactly what Jesus did. That's exactly what he did. And all the churches started, like you said, in Acts. It sounds, we picture different things when we read through the Bible because we picture it from our perspective in our time. When Correct. Peter preached, and he began to preach at the beginning of the day all the way until a kid fell out of the window, he didn't start at 8 a.m. and preach all the way to 11 p.m. He started it was Saturday evening. Yeah. That was a closing of the Sabbath or a Hagdalah service. And so it's not as impressive as how long he preached, but it was still, he preached a long time. And, But it was established. It was already established. So that also points straight to the Lord had a direction. That's beautiful. Did you have 100%. Another follow-up question, Michelle?
For sure. No, well, not exactly. I was just going to tell you guys what an honor it was to be in your home, in your church. And thank you for inviting us and showing us around. I'm really I think it's amazing the perseverance that you guys showed and love of others, because we've seen people, we all have. I mean, I think everybody has seen people get hurt sometimes, or things don't go the way that they thought and maybe shut down. You guys pressed in, and even maybe reluctantly at times, but still you were willing to listen to the Lord and take the steps. So well done. And it's incredible to see the people and get to meet so far a lot of the women, and we've met some of the men in Texas about. And so just that community that's happening over there is so incredible, which kind of leads me into talking about that pursuit that we did in Arizona, which was so very special. I think that like for me, it was just it was such a spiritual experience. I just felt Holy Spirit, just so much out there. And I felt like just it's a dry land, it's like naturally a dry place. But I just could see that region was waking up.
Yeah.
The way that the women were responsive, and even when some of the teachings, they were like, wait, I need to understand this better. They didn't shut down, they just pressed in. And it's kind of a testament to your lives and following that and saying, no, I know I want this, I know that the Lord has this for me, I'm going to press in, I'm going to get through. And as far as them being reluctant to come, that's pretty much how people come to Pursuit. We're really used to
Oh yeah,
it.
for sure. Oh yeah, for sure.
They all show up like, I don't know if I want to be here, and then by the end they're like, I don't want to leave. So that's totally normal. But yeah, I'm really excited to see what happens next. I know logistically we have a men's coming up and more women's and men's coming after that, but I just feel like that part of the country is just getting shook up a little bit in the best ways. And so, gosh, I'm excited if I can even get to be a tiny little part of that. So I'm planning on keeping coming. So that's my little testimony from that event. DeAnna, did you want to add anything from your experience with that particular one?
I think it was just it was an overpowering of us uniting and just watching how the Holy Spirit just worked through all of us and brought us closer together. It ran so smooth that it had to be the Lord, because there was I would have messed up everything. I know me. And it just the way it flowed, how everyone felt, the sisterhood that I watched form. I mean, we were all sisters, but I think it just got deeper, and watching them go off on their own and pour into each other. They check on one another. It's just sweet to get to see it. It was unfortunate when we went to our pursuits, we were in Texas, and then we come home, and for a while, I was the only woman that had gone, and I didn't have anybody to be like, hey, check your toolbox. Like, what do you need? Are you good? And I wasn't going to go to the guys because they're just a bunch of guys. And so I was just like, come on, somebody go. And now we have this group where we can just sit with each other and we understand what we need in that moment, and not to get stuck in the emotion, and how to surrender, and freedom on the floor. We do it in the house. We'll do it at the church. It's just like, okay, we know a need, let's get it. And it's just awesome to just see these women, how they came out of their shell and they trust God. They have a different trust in the Lord. And it's just beautiful to get to see. And I loved, we're family when we're serving. So for those that have already gone to Pursuit, if you have not served at a Pursuit, I highly recommend it, because that's a whole different spiritual experience. I think I heard from the Lord more this time in serving, some of which I wasn't really excited about, because it was about, okay, it's time to get to work. But yeah, I just heard from him so much this time, and it's just such a different experience when you serve. So I highly recommend serving after you've attended. It's amazing.
One thing, if I could just add real quick to that, because Troy and I, Jared couldn't make it, but Troy and I were able to go, and that 10-hour drive, well worth it. I loved it because I had my wife in the truck, and then, Troy was able to make the trip. So we had some great conversation there and back. But the event itself, I think there were 5 or 6 women that were available to serve. And typically, isn't that right? 5 or 6, Michelle, do you remember?
Yes. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was 5 or 6. It was a small serve team. For people who don't realize, a normal event, the goal is between 18 and 24 people. And if you've got that, you really need to have a serve team of about 18 to 20. And so the fact that this was a good one, but it was also, there were 10 participants. So really we should have had probably 16, but it didn't matter because God provided. The men who had been, they were able to jump in there and serve and still remain separate, not to become an obstacle or a distraction for the women. But they came in and they made the meals and they served the women, and then they cleaned up afterwards, and then they were just gone.
Gone.
Yeah,
The
for
women
sure.
were able to
Yeah.
get in there and freely just receive from the Lord. So that was phenomenal. But now the good news going forward, you got a growing serve team.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
They're already waiting.
Oh yeah.
They can't wait.
Yeah, they can't wait. They're so excited.
We got to get it on the calendar. Let's do it.
Yeah, we got to. Yeah, and it's just awesome to see. You know what I mean? It just, the fact that like our little family and so many of us have gone. You know what I mean? It just it just makes a difference. You know what I mean?
Makes a difference in our church.
It makes a difference in our church. You know,
And you know, there's some people that we all know with anything. We all have free will. We all have choice. And coming down from the mountain, like you were referencing, DeAnna, coming down from that mountain and going back into the real world,
Yeah.
it's difficult because even though you've changed, the environment hasn't. And so I know that there's some people that they get pulled, they get distracted, they get influenced, or they just make a poor choice, and next thing you know, they're back in it. And I know that happens. But the thing that I love hearing in the testimonies coming from your community is that they find their way back.
Yes.
They find their way back because you always have that hand extended, and that they know the love that you have for them and what you're willing to give up for them to succeed. So that's amazing.
Yeah, it's just awesome. I can't thank you guys enough. And I told you guys when you guys came here, like, I know you guys have to leave, and I don't want to take up any of your time, but like, you guys have to see the church, because like the only reason why we even have this is because of WIT Ministries, is because of you guys. I mean, like, that's just a fact. I mean, this is the fruit of what you guys are doing, and the fact of this being able to be possible. And I'm like so grateful for all of you guys, you and Troy and Jared, and I mean, just all the guys that were at my pursuit. And it's just amazing. And Michelle, being a support for DeAnna and Myung, like, it's just amazing. The fact, like, I'm so grateful for Aaron and Myung. They've been absolutely awesome and amazing. We got to ordain. When did we ordain him?
Just recently, and we did a foot washing ceremony.
So at my pursuit, you guys did it for Stephen Little and Rocky. And so that was when I went, and I'm like, this is exactly again, right? Like, this is exactly what it's supposed to be like when you're raising up the next leaders, and letting everybody be able to see it, and letting them know what it's like. So we've been working through the Gospel of John, and I told DeAnna, I said, we were getting ready to come up to John 13. And I told DeAnna, I was like, hey, it's time to ordain Aaron. And I said everything that he's been doing, and just to support him and his wife and Myung, like, it's time. And she's like, I agree. I said, I want to do a foot washing ceremony. She's like, I don't know about that. She's like, we got to let them know. I said, no, it's got to be a surprise. They can't know. And she's like, people are weird about their feet. I said, and in that moment, I was like, I just thought to myself, like, you know what, Lord, you're going to have to be the one to convince her. I can't convince her of this. And so I just left it alone. While we were getting ready to approach it, and DeAnna had like read ahead, and she's like, you're right, we do need to do this, because we were going to do John 13. So I knew at John 13, that's when we were going to do it. What I didn't know is I thought I was going to be teaching, but Aaron, I've always told him, like, hey dude, if there's a section of scripture that pops up and you feel that the Lord's calling you to teach on it, I want you to teach in it. And so he's like, okay. So he reaches out to me, he's like, hey, I want to teach through John 13, the whole chapter, is that okay? And I'm like, okay. I was like, I thought I was going to teach through it because I had a plan, but the Lord, I'm like, all right, like, Lord, you're leading this, I'm going to let you do it. So he taught the first week, and then we did it on the second week of that he had taught, because he did 13. We broke it up into 2, and we had the basin and everything out, and he got done teaching, and then, like, in front of the whole church, I'll have to send you the video. And we called Aaron and Myung up, and just
prayed over them, spoke over them, and then we got down and washed their feet. And
told them,
and the whole church was crying.
Yeah, and it was just about, that this is, Jesus gave us an example of what servant leadership is like, and what it's supposed to be, and the expectation for them. Like, this is what leadership is. You're supposed to serve, and it was amazing. It was absolutely amazing.
That's incredible.
We had some friends that were here. The husband comes to men's Bible study, and his wife was coming, but she got busy, and so she couldn't come anymore to the ladies' Bible study. And they recently went through something very difficult within their marriage, and they were there when we had service, and we washed Aaron Young's feet, and we ended up finding out that him and his wife were going through something hard, and
he washed
he
her
went
feet.
he went and washed her feet, and he's like, man, I remember seeing Bobby and DeAnna do this for Aaron and Young. He's like, I know, like, the Lord's leading me to wash my wife's feet right now. He's like, I don't remember how they did it because I couldn't really get a good look, but he's like, just go with it because I have no idea what I'm doing. You know what I mean? And it was beautiful when they told us about it, and it's like, yeah, once again, right? That's just another fruit from what you guys are doing. It's just amazing. I can't thank you guys enough.
Yeah.
Well, I don't want to give any secrets away, but I think we found a magic formula. So we've had a few times now as leadership gets to the point where we're able to just say, you know what? I trust you as a leader within this ministry, even if I'm not at an event. So, once we get to that, we have also ordained one of the guys, but we've had the opportunity to wash a few feet, not feet. And, whatever. I'm a math guy. We'll just go with that. But beforehand, now I'm not wanting to give away secrets that lets everybody know my hand, but before we did it this last time, I said, hey, you want to go get a pedicure? I thought, if we go and we get pedicures, we'll make it some kind of funny thing. I know their feet are getting cleaned before I need to, but it just so happened that the guys that were getting it just kind of looked at me and went, no, absolutely not. I don't want to go get a pedicure.
Hilarious.
And I don't know why you want to. I said, you guys don't know what you're missing. So
don't get mad at me later.
Don't get mad. Backfired on me, but still, it is a phenomenal thing. So what do you guys see that you have coming up next? What's the plans for community or for anything that you guys take an opportunity to plug, anything that you'd like to plug within your community or about anything like that?
We're like on the small town of Sierra Vista. I mean, Sierra Vista is where we live, but just like, Pursuits in Hereford is just like right down the road from it. So we're in Wichita City, and like now that we've finally got established, like I said, it's going to be 3 years. Now that we got established, we're really wanting to just extend the outreach to the community and just see how we could be a light. Last week we did a national night out that they continuously do. Here this is the third time that we've done it. Second or third time?
Yes, and we get invited by the police department. They come to our church, knock on the door, and personally invite us
they're like,
to participate.
Yeah. So they're like, did anybody tell you? We're like, we had no idea. They're like, well, we're having this event. They're like, I'm like, hey, well, what do you guys need? They're like, whatever you guys want to help out with. I'm like, I said, well, how about with anything? What do you guys need? And they're like, well, we're looking for some donations for this and this and this and this. I was like, got it. They're like, if we could get a couple people that could help with this and this, I was like, got it. And so it was cool. Like we made shirts for the church for people who serve and stuff like that, and just to be in the community. You know what I mean? We're not trying to we want everybody to know Jesus, but we know that people, that the unsaved world isn't always going to be willing to receive that. But if we can be in the community serving, and there's all these people wearing these shirts, like who the heck are these people? You know what I mean? And it's a great opportunity. So the shirts say "Live It" on the back, and James 1:22, be doers of the word, not just hearers only. And there's like a cross in the front. And so it was funny because I had somebody reach out to me. Well, the principal of the school reached out to me. He's like, hey dude, he's like, we were at the National Night Out and we saw a whole bunch of your people, and it's just beautiful to see all these shirts and just like helping serve the community.
And they were so nice.
And they were so nice. And what a great witness.
Well, we're supposed to be nice, aren't we? And I was like, opposed to what? But yeah, he said we were absolutely wonderful. And so right now, I think our focus is just getting more involved in the community here. We're doing stuff partnering with the school. We're partnering with just the community in the sense of the care bags. We do Easter food bags and Christmas food bags for the food drive for families. We've done that for the last 3 years.
The local food bank reached out to us and was like, hey, if you can donate anything. We're like, well, how many families?
All the bags.
Yeah,
so
how many families?
For Easter and for Christmas.
Turkey, stuffing,
mashed potatoes, biscuits,
all the stuff that they
pie.
need.
Yeah, we go
Project real quick and just say that's one really beautiful thing about you guys. Like you are some of the most generous people that I know, and I see you guys constantly. And it sounds like this is a huge church. It's a rather small community, right?
Yes.
That's putting together these incredible things for people. So well done. But anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, sometimes it's our own money. And we don't care. And our church, on top of tithing to the church, anytime there's a need, they're just like, can I send money? Who do I give the money to? We'll fill the bags. Don't worry about it. With our food, we have one amazing woman in this church whose husband is in the military and has to leave and be gone on the weekend. She has 2 small boys. And, we tell the congregation, bring a side dish. The leadership will provide the protein. She comes in with 4 sides of protein, 2 desserts, both kids. I mean, she's just, the way everybody here just pitches in. I don't think we've ever felt like there was a need going without. We have a few families in our church currently that we're helping financially. We take care of them every month because that's what the church is supposed to be doing. And so we're trying to set that example as a reminder. We're never going to have smoke screens. We're never going to have giant LED lighted weird
TV
things
screens.
and pretty mics. And I mean, minus these, but we're not going to have, here, we're not going to have the big, productions, but we're going to live out our faith. No. We're not just going to talk a big game. We're going to walk it. And that's something that we've all stood firm on. Our church feels like home. It's very comfortable. It's very small. It's very quaint. It's big enough for us. But we want our impact to be bigger in the community. Yeah. So you drive by and you see our cute little church, and I want the ripple effect to go outside of the walls. So that's what our focus is.
I see it for sure. Just
beautiful.
wondering, because there's something really amazing that we get to do as a body of Christ, even if we're not local. When we sow in, we become part of what's going on, part of the bigger picture in the kingdom work. And so if somebody wanted to sow into what you guys are doing there in Sierra Vista, is that something that they do on your website? And can you share what that would look like?
UnitedFortitudeChurch.org. And there's a donate button on there. If they want to give and donate, they can definitely do that. And everything goes out. I mean, that's we want to be as transparent as possible. And if somebody wants to do that, absolutely 100%.
And we have a pursuit fund that's already set aside. We have sent quite a few people, and we tell them money is not an option. If you want to go, we will send you. Yep. And this was Texas, and we were renting vehicles, paying for hotel, gas money, food money. I mean, we were just
there's a designated, when we started the church, that was one of the things that we talked about. There is, as the stuff comes in, as the money comes in, the resources comes in, there is a fund for pursuit, because that was always the goal. This is the opportunity to bring people in, for them to realize, because everything that we teach through is just hey, let's not just talk about, history. This isn't just a lecture. What was happening here? People were hurting. What does that look like? And what are you struggling with? And if you're struggling, be honest about it. And we're honest about our struggles. And then, hey, there's an opportunity to go get that healing that you need, And so it was always hey, if people want to experience that, hey, we want the resources available and not have anything getting in the way of that.
Yep. And God has blessed us constantly. Every time we're getting a little, hey, calm down, DeAnna, stop with the Amazon purchases. Then all of a sudden the treasurer is no, we're good. Pursuit's coming up. We're ready. We could send this many people.
It's funny too. And I don't I wasn't going to say this, but I feel like I should share it. Aaron came to me and he's hey, somebody I didn't even tell you this. Somebody in the church said, hey, we need to give you a raise. I get a small, you know what I mean? A small stipend, I guess you could say. I don't know what you call it, for all the work that we do here. And he's hey, somebody was hey, you really need to give Bobby a raise. And I have a job that a 9 to 5 that I work outside of this. And if I could, when I left the other church, I took a humongous pay cut. We had to we had to get rid of the vehicle that she had because we couldn't make the payments because that income was gone. And she has like no problem. She's like, just get rid of the car. I don't care. And so like if I could make it to the point where we didn't even need to get anything from the church, like that's the place that I want to get to. But I guess somebody had come to Aaron and was like, hey, you need to give Bobby a raise. And Aaron came to me and started talking to me about it. I was like, dude, I'm going to stop you right there. I said, I don't want to raise. I said, I don't want to make, I said, what I'm getting right now is covering us and making it possible. I said, if you give me a raise, this is what's going to happen. We're not going to be able to send as many people to Pursuit. We're not going to be able to help as many families as we do. And I am not taking money away from families that need it or people that need to go. Like, it's not happening. I said, I'm cool where we're at right now. And that's where we want to keep it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he'll provide. He always finds a way. So
he does.
That is very noble, and that shows great humility. And again, it's not about us. Yeah, it's not about us.
It's always about the people. It was never about the money. It was always about the people.
Love God and then love others. Yep.
So that's what we say with joy, right? So when we were going through Philippians and count it all joy and have joy, Jesus, others, and yourself. Joy. Jesus, others, and yourself.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Beautiful. Well, Michelle, did you have any?
Just parting words. Just, we love you guys. We're proud of you. We feel honored to be part of your lives and part of what you guys are doing out there, and especially with you inviting us to actually come out, which was so special. And I just see that being a new, ongoing. I mean, we see that big picture that we'll talk about off screen, but I definitely see this relationship continuing, and big things are going to happen out in Arizona.
Well, we look forward. Started. We're just getting started, and we can't wait to see you in October. We hope anybody that's listening to this, hey, if you want to come out to Arizona, we would love to have you.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
It's pretty.
Yeah. It is. Well, the whole way through this time with you guys, the word just keeps coming out. It is beautiful. Yeah. So I also thank you guys for spending time with us. And I know that people are going to be blessed from hearing your story. And I just pray blessings over your ministry and your community, that it just continues to pour out and grow. So whatever it is that God has, I really see that a lot of people are going to be affected by what you guys are doing, as I already said. But one of the things that someone just wrote on a Post-it note and put it in front of me is that I need to find maybe a way for Michelle and I on some day to drive the 10 hours out there, come and see you guys at your church, and then drive the 10 hours back. So we'll see.
Maybe we can just fly you out here.
Oh, there was another way.
We'll see. But for everyone else, we want to go ahead and just tell you thank you for joining us for Living the WIT Life. If today's episode encouraged you at all, please consider sharing it with someone who could use it. We'd also love to hear from you in the comments. Until next time, God bless. And remember, pursue truth, walk with God, become who He created you to be, and give Him your all. And go live the WIT life. Shalom.